I've been
You
doing
go to
that
their
too.
channel. I've had that a couple times where somebody killed me in Destiny and I see their name and I go and check and see if they're actually streaming to see if they're making fun of me when they killed me.
I hate it's my new
Yeah,
it's
no.
one of my new pet peeves.
I'll sometimes I'll check. It's like they haven't streamed in like 8 months.
All right, guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right, so we're live, and ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're live. This is to make up for last week's podcast that we did not do. As you can imagine, this whole COVID-19 nonsense is driving us all crazy. We're still stuck in quarantine for the most of us anyway. But that said, welcome to Spectator Mode episode 59. Of course, you know what we got to do. We got to roll the intro real quick, and then we will be right back. Assuming I can find it. Hey, there it is. I found the button. Man, I got to tell you, before we jump into it, you don't see me on camera today because I'm a black guy. And when we go weeks without haircuts, it's not a pretty thing.
I mean, look at me. I got a fro. My fro is terrible.
My hair is worse than yours. And I have salt and pepper. And it's getting worse. It's getting worse. My mom came over yesterday and she's like, hey, you got a lot of gray hair. I was like, I'm done. Just leave me alone.
Like, let's put it this way: if it wasn't, I occasionally give myself a shape up, and that's the best I can do.
Yeah, I've literally just devoted myself to just not even bothering to see like how far I can even get. I've never been able to grow a beard. Period.
So you want to see
what's you can clearly see it still does not do anything.
So it's Dr. Beard per se.
It's just kind of like trying its best, but it's turning into like neck beard and not much else. So it's probably gonna go away after this whole nonsense.
I've always had like this stupid emo haircut, but like I really wish I went like clean before the quarantine because now I look like Persona 3 protagonist level of like hair dropped down on my face.
Yeah, I'm at the point now where I'm like, you know what, honey, you're gonna have to cut my hair for me. Thank you. I am desperate. I am completely desperate. So I'm not on camera. But that's fine. But of course, introductions are in order as always. We have Rob, who's back in his place. He's now on the right of me. Matthew Get Silly as Paul is below him, and to the left is Steven.
Just Steven.
Yep. And then there's Kevin.
Who? Wait, what? There's a Kevin?
Some guy.
Kevin.
No.
I was just referencing some dumb tweet. All right, move on.
All right. And as always, usually we start the beginning of the show with the games we've been playing. I'm going to be honest with you. I played a lot of games this week because I'm trying to get out of this whole COVID-19 rut. I am not in a good place. But I will leave it with I played 17 hours of Final Fantasy Remake since I started playing it yesterday at 2:00. So yeah, we'll say that's all I've been playing.
Oh wow!
And Destiny 2 grinding, which I'm about to drop.
Thank God, please do.
I'm getting so frustrated with that game. We're not going to talk about Destiny 2 during this podcast, but I will say
try not to.
I am getting so frustrated that Trials of Osiris is busted. I can't get any kind of pinnacle weapons unless I do content that are it's co-op content. I can't get anything outside of there's only one way to get pinnacle weapons. So I'm stuck at 10-14 light level. I can't do Trials of Osiris and I can't get raids. So and the same content is being reused over and over. So I'm like, you know what? I think I'm done.
I like to say that it's partially my fault though, because I just don't want to play the game anymore.
He gave up.
Yeah. Did you gave up? I'll talk about it. Never mind.
He gave up. He totally gave up on me. I wasn't gonna call him out, but he gave up on me.
I truly did, and it's not your fault. It's just
it's the same stuff over and over again. It's Bungie. I saw an article when I was taking my walk today, about one of the top Destiny 2 streamers on Twitch deciding he's not gonna play Destiny 2 for the next 2 seasons. Even after Bungie made content for him specifically.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just tired of the game because it's garbage. So if one of the top Destiny 2 streamers in the world is saying this, his name is Glad, by the way, GLADD, if you want to look him up. If one of the top Destiny 2 streamers in the world is saying, this is bullshit, I'm done, there might be a problem. All right, Rob, you're next.
All right. Yeah, so I have actually moved on to another shooter that I've been playing recently that I'm having a lot of fun with. This is prior to remake and split in between my Persona time is that I've been playing some Modern Warfare, the 2019 game.
Oh no! Really?
Wow.
I have been, and I was surprisingly enough, like this has always been a game that I thought was fun when I did play it, but when I wasn't playing it, had no desire to come back to. And then the other day I went in and played it, and I was just like, this is like surprisingly fun. And you know, like I'm not one to say that it's comparable to any of the older Modern Warfare games because I think those are still vastly better. But I still am actually having a lot of fun playing it, and I've been.
So you one of those guys? Are you one of those guys that says after Black Ops 2 there's no point anymore? Is that you?
I'm one of those.
You're one of those guys. Okay, you're one of those guys. Okay.
I don't even go that far. I think I gave up after Modern Warfare 3 because even that.
Wow, you tried it out.
You know what, Rob? When you said you were playing a shooter, I was going to say, did you get into Valorant? Because if you did,
I have no interest in Valorant. It's not going to be my game.
But I want to give it a try at least.
Twitch didn't turn into the fucking Hunger Games with this extreme code business.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's just like I didn't like Overwatch, so I know I'm not gonna like.
It's nothing like Overwatch.
This is because I was a big Counter-Strike player back in the day, and the vibe. I'm getting vibes of some Overwatch, but the entire game was been modeled after Counter-Strike, and I see a lot of Counter-Strike in that game.
That's the thing. I was turned off because I saw the Counter-Strike stuff where it looks like very twitchy and you die very quickly, and that was like, I feel like that doesn't really work in like a hero shooter where you've got like all those.
It's not really a hero shooter. That's the best way to describe it. It has the skin of it, but it's not. It's like a grilled cheese trying to pretend to be a BLT. That's the best way to describe Valorant.
The hero shooter thing does work for
it's trying to tell you, look, I have bacon in my grilled cheese. You're a grilled cheese. You're not a BLT. Stop lying to me. It's like it's a chopped cheese trying to be a hamburger. Is that better for you?
Oh God, and a chopped cheese, which is a New York thing. But go ahead.
But well, you're from the area. You know what a chopped cheese.
I know what it is very well, but that's why I said. But it's a New York thing, though. But go ahead.
Anyway, but no, Valorant is a good game. I played it. It's a return to more skill-based shooters, which the market desperately needs because a lot of shooter games in the market are not skill-based at all. At least the popular ones are not.
Ouch.
Look, come on, it's fact of life here. Destiny, did you roll right on gear? Overwatch, did your team have a functioning brain? Which is no. Modern Warfare.
Whoa! It's the same thing in Valorant. I've seen some pugs playing that game.
Oh yeah, no. In Valorant, this is the difference. In Valorant, did you roll right? And is your team has half a functioning brain? Because if they still play like it's TDM, you'll still win it. That's how I feel the game so far is. Like if you play like a TDM, you'll still kind of win, which I don't like, but whatever.
I like how you were like, you had the word, that's what it's so bad, and then you stopped it. Like you were just so afraid to say that.
And for those wondering what TDM mean, is team deathmatch.
Yeah, I had to exactly. Team deathmatch. So basically, that's it in a nutshell. Like Valorant is like, if I had to rate it out of 10, it's a 7. It's applicable what it does, but my major fear of it is that where they're going to program it, because you can buy skills versus buying guns. None of the skills so far seem as like, well, if I just buy, reflect bullets, I'll beat everybody. Not really.
All right, let's get back on track. It was still Rob's turn. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's fine. But anyway, beyond that, I've been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm sure everyone here has been pretty much. But, I've been playing that, and I'm also still playing through Persona 5 Royal, which I'm having a great time with. And what else did I play? I think
that was your first Persona.
It was, yeah. It was, and it's like, I don't know, I think it was a good entry to it because I still like it a lot. I mean, it's not like I haven't played a JRPG before, so it's not like I'm completely out of my realm, but I've been having a good time with it, and I don't know, everything about it's so cool. It's very stylish. All the characters are really interesting. Well, most of them are pretty interesting, and it's just fun to play, so I've been doing that, and yeah, I think that's it.
What about you, mate?
I've been playing a lot of games. Oh boy, I gotta make a list. Outside of my mobile games, you guys know I play Brawl Stars. I have not played Mana Strike as much as I scared about that. I've been playing, let's see, Grand Blue Fantasy. I played Tekken because the new patch notes went through. I'll probably go more about that later. I've been playing Persona 5. It's Persona 5. Come on, people. You know me. I've been finishing up I Am Setsuna. I've been playing Hades. I've been playing Team Fortress 2 to get back. Played a lot of Valorant to get my opinion on that.
I've also...
Huh?
I hate you. I haven't gotten into it, so I hate you.
Yeah, I've also been playing a couple of other indie games you might never heard of by Dia Games. Bot Vice, been playing that a lot. I've also been trying to go back at some roguelikes I haven't played in a while, like Nuclear Throne. I've got back into Crosscode because I've never beaten it, and just a bunch. And I played Children of Mortar, but I've been just dabbling a lot more than I have free time because virus make me locked up to look into things. And the only thing I'm sad is I can't play one of the games I'm looking forward to that Keith knows and me and Josh talk about. Pantheon. What do I have to do to play Pantheon, man? I need an MMO right now.
It's still an alpha, though, right?
I know it is. It is. I need an MMO right now, and
the only way you get to play Pantheon is if you're a big streamer.
Basically,
huge, big streamer. If you're not one of those people, sorry.
Good luck. Yeah, and I'm also upset because I want to play Phantasy Star 2 online, but so far it's like they have the Xbox One version available, but not the Windows 10 version, so I have to wait longer for PC. I'm a little upset about that. Because it was originally a PC game, but
can I tell you something? My hype for that game has gone out the window, especially since I was championing for this game for X amount of years because it's not on the PC. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, they ported it to Xbox One. Like I said, Microsoft is trying to save whatever that console is worth. I'm upset by it because the fact is, bro, this was a PC game. Just port to the left and then port to the right later. I mean, what's wrong with you? But Microsoft's going to be Microsoft, so that's just me. Go, Steven, the killer.
Okay, the pillar. I've been playing Final Fantasy VII as of today. I finally got it installed around like 9:30. But I was telling Keith I've apparently been sinning. I played Resident Evil 3, got through all of it, but I've been enjoying actually quite a little bit of Resident Evil Resistance.
Did
I think it's enjoyable, but the one thing I actually did not expect myself to get into, I felt the weirdest urge in the past week to play Batman Arkham Knight.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And
is that game free now?
I don't know. It might have been free at some point.
It was at one point.
But I just felt like this need to do like the Predator stealth because it's the only stealth game I've ever been good at. And I just have been binging that for a while. And then and it's weird. Like I fell in love with the game again. I'm like, ooh, let me listen to the Predator soundtrack, or let me watch like the ending cutscenes again. I've turned into a psychopath. Back to Resident Evil Resistance, I've been running. I was telling these guys earlier, the game is basically dead on arrival. I've been running into the same people like over and over again. I've got there's this one guy I've been running into, and I recognize him because his name is Vicious Bubbles, and I see it at least every 4 or 5 games, and I don't know if he recognizes me, but we've formed this unconscious friendship apparently.
Shout out to Vicious Bubble if you're watching.
But yeah, that's what I've been playing this week.
All right, well, we've got that out of the way, and we didn't take forever. So, all right, let's look at our topics for this week.
I'm trying to hold back our rants.
wait. What would you want to say, Rob?
No, I was saying we were trying to hold back our rants this time so that we can actually get on.
Oh no, we're gonna have lots of rants this week.
Well, we'll see.
We have to make up for last week, so there's gonna be plenty of rants.
Yeah.
Speaking of rants, let's talk about the DualSense controller, which was announced this week. So everybody has been complaining and being frustrated and upset that PlayStation, I'm just going to call them PlayStation, not Sony, has not really shown us anything about the upcoming PlayStation 5. Microsoft has showed us tons of stuff with the Xbox Series X, while PlayStation was pretty much hush-hush, unless you consider that technical dump by Mark Cerny worthwhile, because unless you enjoy technobabble, it was garbage. Well, they came out and didn't show us the console, but they did show us a new PlayStation controller, the DualSense. And I think
about that.
Go ahead.
The reason I think that was so dry was because I think that conference was meant for GDC that got canceled.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of Corona. So it was meant to be spoken to indie devs and nerds. It wasn't meant to be streamed on YouTube for some guy with
and geeks.
It was designed. It wasn't designed for Johnny Donuts. It was designed for
it wasn't meant for some guy with an anime profile to sit and stream and say
exactly. Yeah.
That wasn't what it was meant for.
The Twitch comments were so terrible, but I mean they're usually terrible.
Resident Sleeper, that was all it is, copy paste.
Yeah, but they didn't show us anything, but they did finally show us a DualSense controller, and I think the consensus here is split on how the controller looks. I think I said I liked it. Rob's undecided. What about you two?
I actually like the design. It looks pretty good.
I'm pretty sure it looks like it's a PlayStation. It looks like
I'm gonna pull it right now. It looks like an Xbox controller, but just slightly thinner with longer edges. And I'm like, that's fine. It doesn't. because instead of making it like the PS4 where the center is chubby and fat, it's just skinnier. So I'm like, I like it, and you can get in different. I wait for different colors. If I get one in like a light blue, that'd be cool.
I don't know.
The thing I noticed is that
get-go.
both the touchpad is back and the share button's back. Share button, I don't mind.
Well, it's not a share button. It's called the create button.
Oh, yeah. Let me create this game. Okay.
I want to ask you guys a question. When was the last time you played a game that involved the touchpad in a way that wasn't a massive select button?
Yeah. And that's one of the big things because it's
insert
like,
Jeopardy
theme. Maybe a DS game.
A DS game, but like really though, I remember looking at that. I was like, this is just a big.
Oh, I got one. Persona Dancing All Night.
Yeah,
I played it a couple days ago actually.
Oh, really? What's it doing that?
You can use the touchpad to swipe instead of hitting the buttons.
Oh my god,
it sucks.
What I think would be interesting is that because like obviously they have to put it in for a number of reasons, probably because if it's going to be PS4 backwards compatible and for whatever game that needs the touchpad, like if we're talking like Infamous Second Son, you want to go back and play that, like that has gesture movements that you have to use the touchpad for in that game.
That's assuming they give us backwards compatibility though.
Yeah, but I mean, like at the same time, it's like that's not like the only reason. A lot of like people are saying that some of the patents and stuff mention that they might be using the touchpad for menu movement, which I feel like would be huge compared to how it exists on the PS4 now, because it's like you can only use it in game specific circumstances, or if you are like trying to type with the touchpad, which is supposedly easier, but it's definitely not because it feels horrible. But like I feel like if they add swipe gestures to the PS4 menu, it actually gives it a lot more purpose in a way that makes sense, because you can kind of like see in the PS4 menu layout how everything kind of swoops in terms of what menu you're trying to pick. So like if you need to go up to your trophies or your settings or your power or whatever, the menu literally like moves up and like down. The way everything kind of navigates, it seems like it would be made perfectly for swipe gestures and things like that. Something you could use the for.
Have you guys played Gravity Rush?
Oh, once upon a time ago.
Kinda did. Yeah,
Gravity Rush 1 and 2 I think was using the touchpad a little more. I'm trying to remember the games I played. Yeah, Gravity Rush maybe. But it's still not a good design. This is my opinion of innovative game design. Like the Wii is, didn't work out in my opinion. I think everyone as a gimmick, maybe once in a while, but people still prefer traditional game playing, like hitting buttons like this or whatever. People prefer that.
I mean, the thing is, the touchpad, despite being the biggest thing on the controller, it's not really all that invasive.
It's not. But I think for Sony's perspective, or at least what they think like it's too eye jarring. When people like, I want to like a perfect example. Sometimes I forgot that the option button is the pause button sometimes in the game. Well, and I only see this giant pad.
We've gone past calling them. Most of us remember those buttons as select and start.
Exactly. Yeah. But I'm just being Sony is what they call it. So like maybe that's the reason it's too jarring. People don't pause button and the select button is. Maybe that's the reason why they decided to go with this. But either way, I can't believe people lost their minds about this. It's like, it's the worst, ugliest thing I've ever seen. Blah blah blah.
It's the internet. It's the internet.
They
had to go crazy. But I like the design when I first saw it. The first thing I noticed was the curves. I like the curves on that controller.
I wonder if, like I said, I wonder if the curves are good. Like, I want to see, like, my personal opinion, the best fighting game pad I ever had was the PS2, with how big the buttons were and everything for hitting and sliding, depending on what game you play. I would imagine the curves is for, I'm going to pronounce this word wrong, ergodynamics. I say it wrong. Yeah. Because the way it curves out, it looks like you can get a better grip on a controller. Unlike right now, with the DualShock 4, it just fits in your hand. It's awkward unless you're it's not very comfortable. No, it's like in certain situations compared to an Xbox, a standard Xbox One controller or PS2 pad, it feels like it slides across like the end of your palm, like right. So you're kind of like shifting your hand all the time. Like you'll end up, instead of holding a pad like this, you're holding it like this, where you're just you're balancing it in your hand rather than playing it. If you get my saying.
I think for me, it was kind of like, here's the one way we can improve it. And it's as if the DualSense is the other way they can improve ergonomics. Because if you remember the PS1, 2, and 3 DualShocks, the angular design, the hard edges, like that controller wasn't the most comfortable to hold all the time. Like
no, but it kind of worked for the games they were doing. I mean, especially like I said, for fighting games and platformers, they were responsive.
Well, sure, yeah, but I mean, like the core design hasn't really changed, so I think
No.
it's still good to use for any kind of game that you're playing, especially shooters. That's part of the reason why the DualShock was so important, was because of shooters on consoles were much easier to program and use and play compared to how it used to be with just like a D-pad or whatever. An FPS would be nearly impossible. You know what I mean? So it's like they took like this angular design and refined it to make it wider and a bit more smooth, which in one way kind of solves the issues with some of the older DualShocks. Now I think they're just focusing on pure comfortable ergonomics, in the sense that like the DualSense now makes more sense with the curvature of your hand to hold it. So like, I mean, that's part of the reason why the Xbox controller was so good, is because it's just
the
more
Nintendo
comfortable.
64 controller.
Shut up.
Hey, I like
That
having
monstrosity.
3 arms, but
The
let me
3
tell you, the
prongs.
DualShock
That
is
was
just
so terrible.
But
So I do have questions about this controller. One, as I don't know if it's final or not, but as you notice, the square and circle and triangle and no X button, it's not a cross, it's an X button. They're not color coded. They're not color coded. They're all just, I guess, gray, indented, engraved, whatever. Somebody said maybe they'll light up. That'd be pretty awesome if they did, like LEDs. I doubt it.
That would be such a drain on the
but
battery.
the light bar
That
exists,
would be,
though.
Yeah, that'd be
you know what I mean?
Yeah, the light bar already like brings the controller down. Which, by the way, alongside the touchpad, is one of the most like unused things. All I've ever seen it do is say, "Hey, you're dying," and I'm like, "Thank you. I needed to know that because the screen's also telling me that." It's like,
oh, you never played GTA where it shoots blue and red?
oh yeah,
it
goes,
but you can't see it because it's on the front of the controller. Anyway,
I mean, getting back to the controller, I don't think it's a big leap like some people are making it seem to be. I mean, maybe it's a big leap for Sony because they didn't really change the design in quite some time, but it does remind me a lot of an Xbox One controller, and it's not a bad thing. I like the design. It reminded me when I first made my tweet. The first tweet I made, I said it reminds me of a car. I couldn't remember what car it was, and it was the BMW i8. That's what it reminds me of, or is it 8i, whatever. And look, it reminds me of that. And then somebody showed a picture of Eva from Eve from Wall-E. I was like, yeah, it looks just like her. If you guys ever seen Wall-E, that's what it reminds me of. I like it. I like the controller.
Sorry, small tangent. Bad car. Anyway, nice. It's a very bad car. Anyway,
you mean to tell me if somebody were to give you one, you would not take it?
No, that thing is a death trap. And not because it goes too fast, but because it'll break before you get to drive it. It's a BMW. Anyway.
Yeah, I like the controller. I do wish that we had seen the actual PlayStation 5, because this whole bait, or I don't want to say bait and switch. It's not really bait and switch. This whole Sony not showing us anything, it's kind of not frustrating, but it's just like, hey, Microsoft is showing us everything. And it makes me go, maybe they don't have the final design of the PlayStation 5 done yet, because there was a rumor going around that Sony underestimated the cooling and have to go back to the drawing board. And I hope that's not the case.
Ooh,
because that would be terrible.
Certainly hope not. I would like to think they have something finalized for the most part by now. If they don't,
you keep getting all these articles of one side saying, hey, the PlayStation 5 is the best console we've ever used, we've ever programmed for, et cetera, et cetera. Then you got other people coming out saying, hey, no, this thing is not what Sony's promised us. And it's like, okay, I don't know who to trust. I don't really care who's telling what. I just want to see it right now.
Yeah, that's fair. I just there's so much about the drip feed approach that Sony's doing that is like so wrong and only kind of right. It's just
more like they're being, how to put this? It's like, how to describe it? They are being so cautious that their cautiousness is wrong. It's like because they don't I disagree with the rumors. Just keep pointing out, the cooling's wrong. They went back to basics. In my opinion, it's more like they are trying to take the safest approach to launch this console because they know, and you know, it's the last generation before that, a bad launch can poison you forever.
Oh yeah. Oh, totally.
So basically, they're being so cautious. They don't want to. That's what look right. If you look at it right now, if you point out, looks similar to an Xbox controller. Well, that's fine because Xbox controller designs is safe. It is practical. It's not
and
bad,
also, and another part of it also is hey, they are the market leader.
Yeah,
they have nothing to prove. But my thing is this, because if they are taking that approach, that's bad, because I have this mentality that, hey, if I'm number one, I'm going to do everything in my power to stay number one. Not, I'm just going to coast, whatever. They can't catch up me. Because that's what Xbox did in Xbox 360. And then PlayStation 3 went, hey, thank you, bye.
And that's part of the reason why, like, it's so perplexing.
At the same time, where you're on top at a market that's matured, you don't want to take more risks so you can plunge the market into crap. That's happened many times. I mean, if Carr was here, he and I could talk about wrestling in the sense that because WWE was on top for so long, they plunged the industry into a bad direction. So when you're on top, you don't want to take that many risks. You just want to maintain it. Let the under guys come up with something new so the industry can grow. I mean, for example, what if, let's say heaven forbid, Sony won't do this. Well, they'll take Nintendo's idea. We now have a portable console you can take everywhere with a battery and you can play on the go. Why would they do that? That's just stabbing the other guy in the face. That's unnecessary. For like what, extra $100? That's pointless. You're at top. You're mature. You let the market cool. You probably make innovations when you're ready. Let the under guys come up with things to push the market forward. Because if you take all the risk and you dive the market, no one's ever going to recover.
Yeah, I got you. I just feel like I don't know. They're being too brisk about it. That's not like the correct way to put it. But it's
they're being very passive about it.
There's not enough out there for us to get excited for it. There's rumors and stuff that we'll hear that it just like I don't know. Like it's interesting to keep track of and think about, but it's just like how much do we truly know about the console that should really get us excited for? Other than, okay, now we know what the controller looks like, and there are some games that are coming that look cool. It's just like we don't know much about what the core of the console does. What are the features? Other than it's going to load real quick. Some of the technical stuff that people have written up about, that people have read, they understand that. But it's like, okay, how can I interact with my friends better? How can I play games, in a certain way? Like it's just like specific questions that the general public are going to ask when they want to choose between an Xbox or a PlayStation.
Right, and another thing too is that I would like to. This is my personal thing, is because streaming has become more of a generator for income for some people, as well as privately or for friends or for what it is. It's almost more social. You're pointing out exactly how could this work for streaming people? Because I've seen people nowadays got those so many apparatuses just to stream on so many platforms just to make ends meet. How is Sony going to provide for that? How is Sony's I personally think the PSN store sometimes kind of feels a little jarring sometimes. So I got to fix that.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty slow. But then again, I feel like
it's not as bad as Microsoft's though.
No, exactly. So it's like, how are they going to start a creation system? Are they going to have some what Steam run is an algorithm-based marketplace? These are things that are important for the future. But I feel like, as you point out, they're pussyfooting, but they're kind of taking this extreme conservative approach because they don't want to tip the market too far behind or bad, because they're Japanese and they always have. Let's be honest, Japanese people have sometimes very bad ideas, a lot of bad ideas.
Speaking of bad ideas, I'm surprised that nobody mentioned this. Not on here, but on Twitter and other places. And I mentioned this in another tweet. I was like, so the PlayStation 5 controller, DualSense controller, has a built-in microphone. You guys ate up the Kinects when they had that. They bitched and moaned when Google Stadia gamepad had it. And when Sony does it, it's fine. It's okay. There's no issues with it. I don't know.
It's Sony. They can do no wrong.
And that's my thing. I don't like the idea of it having the microphone in the controller. And this is a guy who has I have 5 Google Homes in my house because I do home automation and I love it. So I don't care. At this point, Uncle Sam has my information. He wants to eavesdrop on me. All right, whatever. You may regret that, but okay.
I've got nothing to hide.
Yeah, here. If you want to hear me yelling at my kids and my kids yelling at me and fighting each other, hey, go for it. You're not going to hear any trade secrets. There's nothing here that you're not going to hear anywhere else. But the fact that it has a microphone and a controller and everybody's praising it, I don't fault Sony for it. I'm more pointing the finger at the gaming community for saying, "Oh, this is great." But when other people do it, it's a problem.
This is my take on that situation, is that doesn't currently the PS4 have a mic in it already when you talk to people with the headset or whatever?
No.
Oh, then that's just me screaming to the TV. Okay.
No, you need a headset for it.
A headset. Microphone. So yeah, it's probably a headset. But I think it's because, again, we're in this nice area where Sony, as I joked before, Sony can do no wrong unless they really crap the grave. but I think it's simply because the fact is like everyone else failed at it, so Sony just picked up the slack and probably made the best version of it, quotation marks. So it's like, well, this is the best version of it, so of course they're going to do it right because everyone else failed doing it.
Well, I don't want to harp on this for too long, but I do want to say that I don't think they're bulletproof in this case.
Oh, no.
Definitely think that like a lot of what they're doing now is not like, oh, they have no way to fail. Like I feel like they're still in a sense lagging behind Xbox in a big way. And yes, to some extent, they don't want to, tip the market if they know that they're better and they just say that they're better right away. But at the same time, It's like when you don't know much about the console, people want an Xbox more right now than they do want a PlayStation. Just if you were to look strictly at facts, because how much do you know about the PlayStation more than you know about the Xbox? Xbox is clear examples of gameplay features of what the console can do in a specific circumstance.
And
for
when
now,
you
we
said that,
saying what it can do. You know what I mean?
I want to also point out to everybody, not to cut you off. I've been saying this on the internet for a long time. I'm going to say it here. Specs don't mean a damn thing, people. Please stop saying, hey, teraflops and this and that, when half of you don't know what the hell this means or what it's capable of doing. Please stop it.
I think the tide has turned on that a lot. Most people understand that the games are the most important part of any kind of home console. Because, like, if you're worried about specs, you'd make a PC. It's that kind of thing,
I wouldn't even do that. I wouldn't do that. I would totally not say that. Because then you got the people, you can't make a PC for this price and do that. And I'm not lying. They're out there.
Yeah, no, they do exist. I'm not saying they're gone. I just feel like, the majority of a console audience that is at least an enthusiast video game player at least understands that they care more about the games than what the console can graphically produce. You know what I mean?
But moving on to the next topic, I will say this. Sony needs to step up the game, show us the damn console. Microsoft and Sony both need to step up the game and stop pussyfooting around this and tell us how much these things are going to cost. Because in case they haven't noticed, we're running into a recession. Money is going to be hard for a lot of people to get. You saying, hey,
here's devil's advocate for you. Maybe that's the reason why they didn't want to tell it, because the recession's coming. Maybe
we're going to be in a recession for a long time.
Exactly, and maybe this is devil's advocate here. They're going to delay it until the recession is over, or if they feel the recovery point's at it. Because again, as much as we're all gaming nerds, we all enjoy our hobbies. These are leisure activities which are not fruitful to a mainstream economy.
I can't see them delaying the release of the console itself because they've already got games in development for it.
Oh, yeah. But I'm talking about delay to, like, let's just say the recession hits 2021 and they had a plan to launch it 2021. Let's launch it at 2022, the beginning of it. Like that. That's the delay I'm talking about.
I mean, right now, as we talked about earlier, we're not on this podcast, but elsewhere, we've got over 7 million people applying for unemployment right now.
And it's higher. It's about 10 plus now.
And and it's going to go up even more.
Yeah.
We don't know when this recession is going to kick into high gear. We don't know when the quarantine is going to be over. We don't know when we're going to get back to a previous sense of normalcy. We know nothing. So.
And I think part of that is
crazy.
Like, they're gauging and understanding that. So they probably don't want to come out and say the price right now, because what if they say the price is $700 or something astronomical? They're gonna put them away immediately. You know what I mean? And it's like they have another 8 months until the console comes out or something like that, and nobody's gonna buy them if they say it's already too much money. You know what I mean? It's just like I guess I understand it from a business standpoint why they're holding back.
Rob, if they had said it was $700 and we weren't in a recession, I still would not buy it.
Yeah. That's still like astronomical.
That's
but
too much.
Like even if you put out a relatively conservative number of say like $500, then there's still going to be a lot of people who are going to be like, okay, well, if you tell us this now in the current state of everything, like who's going to want to buy it? Who's going to have enough money to pay for that?
Yeah, and that's the problem.
So.
All right, so this month, we've had a lot of remakes come out. We've got Final Fantasy VII Remake, we've got Persona 5 Royale, and we've got Resident Evil 3 Remake. All came out within 3 weeks of each other, 2 weeks of each other. So it's been a good time for gamers. Now, I've only played Resident Evil 3 Remake, and I'm playing Final Fantasy 7 Remake right now. So I can only talk about those two. Rob's played...
I played Persona 5 The Royal, as well as Final Fantasy 7 Remake.
Steven has played Final
Evil.
Fantasy Remake and Resident Evil. So we all can talk about something. So let's talk about Resident Evil first. Can I be honest with you? This game is a disappointment. It's a big disappointment.
No, it's. I think it's hyper mediocre, and like I don't say that just because I like to be the angry games journalist. That's like, oh man, hating games is my favorite pastime. But I remember playing it a lot and going, I feel like nothing playing a lot of it. I'm just like kind of going through the motions. Just I don't know. I personally thought it was pretty bad.
Resident Evil 3 was not a long game, the first game at all. And then they came out with the remake. And it's not a bad game. I will not say it's a terrible game. It's not. But if you compare it to Resident Evil 2 Remake from last year, it pales in comparison. It's a great game. It's got decent mechanics. The graphics look great. It's enjoyable. But the problem with this game is if you beat the game once, when you beat the game the first time, there is zero incentive to come back. You mentioned earlier you're playing Resistance, which is the multiplayer portion of the game. Yeah. But Resident Evil 2 had the raid mode, the time attack modes, and multiple things you can do. It also had the DLC that came out afterwards, and it gave you a reason to come back and play the game again. There's none of that here. There's none in this game. The game can be. Go ahead.
Also, I've noticed when I was playing it, and I said a bit of this in my review, they seem to have taken a lot of the subtler mechanics and like stripped them out. Like, I don't know if you remember this about Resident Evil 2, but there was like a really in-depth dismemberment system where like if you shot like zombies in the arm would
the cripple technique.
Yeah. It's been almost completely removed. Like you can still, I think, blow off zombies' legs and turn them into crawling zombies like you're playing.
But it's a lot harder. But... That's what I've been doing my runs, shooting them in legs, and I'm just shooting them in legs, and I'm like, so he's not falling. That's awesome. All right, so I can't use the same mechanics.
I feel like what they try to do is a common complaint with the remake of the prior Resident Evil's Control is that people complained that it's not as quote unquote difficult. So it's like, all right, let's take out a mechanic and make it more difficult for gamers. And then here we are, Resident Evil 3.
But it's not. It's even easier.
That's exactly. They thought that would make it harder. They did not understand that.
I think it was more of an idea of like, which I have a bit of a hot take about that later, but people are saying this is less about a horror game and more of an action game, so we can
Resident Evil 3 was an action game. Resident Evil 3 was an action game.
I mean, it's not 4. 4 was pretty much what, you know.
But, like, the thing is, right, wouldn't we afford, like, the same allowance to Resident Evil 6? I know that's a bad word, but I feel like, you know, that's technically an action game, but we, like, threw like a trident right through that game's chest. We lit that thing on fire and pushed it off a cliff.
And punched boulders.
Yeah. But that's an action game. And then we say, this is an action game. And we kind of forgive it this time.
Well, here's the thing that's weird for me. Because, like, I haven't personally played Resident Evil 3 Remake yet. But the impression that I get from it, and this might also be a hot take, is that it kind of falls into this weird Resident Evil 5 category in that it's at its very core wants to be survival horror, but throughout the gameplay is almost certainly an action game that feels restricting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's what I felt when playing it.
It's like, it makes me wonder, because like generally Resident Evil 5, critically wise, was praised at launch, in that it was a good co-op game to play. Now, a lot of people, and including me, would say that it is a good co-op game, but not a good Resident Evil game. So I wonder if...
That's what I say about 7.
To some extent, and yeah.
Wait, you mean 6?
7, it becomes something fundamentally different, you know?
Wait, are you talking about Resident Evil 6 or just Resident Evil Biohazard?
I'm just throwing out there 7. The game that's...
Well, I think the series
game
itself,
that's horror, but it doesn't feel Resident Evil-ish. I'll leave it that way.
You mean the Silent Evil? That's what I called it? Because it's pretty much Silent Hill. Or Resident Hill, so my friends call it.
I'm just going to say Resident Evil 7 is one of my favorite games of all time, actually. I am a massive fan of that game.
Are you a fan? Do you like The Evil Within? Have you played it? I'm not saying...
I've played both.
Okay, because The Evil Within is one of my favorite gaming series. Hands down. Hands down. I love it. I played the first and second one countless times. Love it. I would still play it right now. I would not play Resident Evil 3 again.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, the series has this massive identity crisis because, for me, and this is like, it's weird because people say it's an action game, so you can't criticize it for not being scary or that it's being true to the original. But the way I see it is, at the end of the day, everything that they pulled out to make for a more action-oriented experience still results in a less exciting game overall. Like, the biggest thing that really disappointed me was, like, the map doesn't, like, after you get past the very first, like, street section of the game doesn't have that quality where it, like, loops into itself or you find puzzle pieces that, like, oh, that's room all the way back. It's more just like, here is a gauntlet, there's a key at the end, take the key, come back and put it in this puzzle piece and you can leave.
There were not a lot of puzzles in that game. No. And it wasn't, again, 3 was an action game. The original 3 was an action game. It was meant to be beaten in under an hour. It was a very easy, well, it's not very easy. It was a very simple game. It was not a Resident Evil 2. It was a sit down, play it, run through it, you're done. And just like the remake, even less so, because the remake, I don't want to say it's too easy, but Nemesis is not, he's not scary.
Yeah.
He's scripted. They were like, he's not scripted. And then, he's totally scripted. There are certain places he can't catch you. There are certain places, once you go past a certain threshold, he will not follow you.
Well, I don't know if you saw in my video, but there was this part I was dying. I went into like this toy shop because I was like, oh my God, maybe there's a way out. And the toy shop is a dead end, but Nemesis wouldn't come inside.
Yeah, he sits out the window.
Suspiciously had this one single window where I could see him standing and staring at me. And
that's what
laughing.
he does. That's what he does. He just stares at it. I was like, dude, and when I streamed, I was like, dude is just staring there. He doesn't come in. And remember the big hype before the game came out, and everybody like, there's just one room he chases you in, and Capcom's like, yeah, kind of like, no, it doesn't happen. Yeah, this dude is not scary. And then the cherry on the top. Sorry if you guys have never beaten it, but I'm pretty sure you've seen it.
Yeah,
this is the personification that this is an action game when you're fighting Nemesis for the very last time, and you shove a rail cannon into his damn mouth.
I actually thought the boss fights were really fun. That was like the one salvageable thing that I got from it. I know a lot of people didn't like them, but I enjoyed them quite a bit.
I didn't like the second time you fought him when he's running on the walls, and even then when you had Carlos and he's telling you where the guy is. I mean, yeah, it was okay. I would not play it again. I've got my speed run down to 85 minutes now. I'm done.
You're a psycho.
I'm done. You should have saw me in Resident Evil 2 Remake. I was playing that shit nonstop until I got as low as I could. I'm done. I'm done with this game. I love it. I really do, but I'm done.
Well, the one thing that like
beeping a horn.
I wanted to say this earlier, but back to the dismemberment system, I feel like the game has lost a lot of like the free-flowing storytelling thing it had going on. Like, for example, in Resident Evil 2, you could like run into a zombie in a hallway and you could blow his arm off or something and he'll fall over and you think that's it. And you can come back through that hallway and he'll get back up and he'll still be missing the arm. Or like Mr. X is roaming around and there's all these little things that can like drastically like change what you're doing.
Well, and that's kind of more because again, they're focusing on the horror aspect of it. It's not like in an action game.
But I don't think you needed like I don't feel like that's horror specific. That's just sort of like free form. You're in the map and it's being built upon the things you've done in the past. It doesn't even have to specifically be, oh, the zombies are like that because it's scary. It's like that's cool because you've been through that area and then the things you have done fundamentally change going through it again.
It depends also because if you play like Metroidvania games or even some roguelike games, if you clear a room and come back to just spawn again, some people might. This is a game philosophy design argument that is it annoying to go back to the same room to see an enemy, a slight change, or just hey, I'm back again, I gotta fight you again, I can't deal with that crap. Or is it better just like you clear the room, it's done, run through it for speedrun's sake, or better yet, just for convenience? You get what I'm saying, right? It's like that's yeah. Like that's to me, it's like I don't mind either way, but I would feel like crap if I'm trying to survive, or if I'm in a game that's more designed to horror, that I have like 7 bullets, I wasted 2 to kill the zombie, I come back in the room, he's back again, like crap! I have only 5 bullets.
Oh well, you won't run out of bullets in Resident Evil 3. I can tell you.
Oh no. And the sad part is to me, the Resident Evil I love the most is 4. 4 is my crack. I will afford to the day I die. To me, it's the best Resident Evil because it kind of has a lot of things I like about it. But it's like Capcom, as you guys pointed out earlier, has been disjointed about it. They don't know where to go. Are they going to make it like, Resident Hill or Resident Evil 1 and 2? Or they want to go the action way, 3, 4, 5, 6?
Well, actually, I kind of wanted to bring this up. Keith, I don't know how many times you died in Resident Evil. I embarrassingly died quite a bit. And I noticed that the game was very, like, American-style gore horror in its, like, death scenes. Like,
oh, yeah. Watch me get chopped up, yeah.
Yeah. Like, it was weird because I'm pretty sure like the generic like death where the zombie like rips your throat out is ripped straight from Resident Evil 2, but it somehow feels like so much more jarring in this one. And there was one.
It's the same.
And but the one thing that really grossed me out, what was it? The one scary level in the entire game. I'm not sure if you agree with this, Keith, and I want to hear your input on this level. Is the power plant with those creepy bug things?
I fucking hate those bugs.
Those things were terrifying to me.
I love they just stick their thing down your throat, and it's like
oh yeah. There's probably some really disgusting art of that somewhere that I don't want to find out about. But like,
there's no video game out there that jars me ever because I played through Dead Space 1 and 2. Oh, if you want to talk about gory games, there you go. And I love them so much. Please bring it back. Oh wait, it's EA. Never mind.
Yeah, Visceral Games is gone, so that's like good luck to you.
And it makes me sad because all these games are getting remade, and it's like, Dead Space will be an awesome game to remaster, and we're never going to get it. All right, so Ron, we talked enough. You played a fantastic game. I want to hear your thoughts about it. I read the review, but talk about it.
Yeah. So so I jumped into the Persona series for the first time with Persona 5 Royal. Something I always actually kind of wanted to do, if only because I had already heard about the Royal coming out, knowing that would be something expanded and supposedly better, which it, in a lot of ways is. And so I waited, and I was like, I've never played a Persona game before. I'm very picky about JRPGs, so I don't know if this is something I would like. So I waited on it, and I mean, the opportunity to go in and review it is something even more special. So I figured I'd give it a shot as a completely new opportunity for me. So I did. I jumped in, and I loved it. And I still love it. I'm still playing through it, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like looking at the differences between the base game and Royal and understanding that it is to some extent a remake, which is kind of crazy considering, because it's like a lot of Persona 5 was praised because of how special it was, and they took a lot of that stuff and changed some of it, in not only adding in the new content but interspersing changes throughout the narrative itself along with all the new additions it's putting in. It was to some extent remade to something that's a bit better, and in a lot of ways, gameplay wise, narrative wise, it was improved so that like this is the definitive way to play it. And I personally would agree with that. It's like you would purchase Royal as like, if you've never played Persona 5 before, you should buy Royal because it is the version that is most special, the best way to play it,
and has more content even if you play the original like myself.
That's true. It turns a 100-hour RPG into a 130-hour RPG.
Well, what's it? I don't know too much about Persona 5 Royal, but the one thing I decided I'm not getting the game for a while. I can spoil myself on this. I had to get a piece of that music, the new tracks.
Oh yeah,
whatever.
Shows you was a god.
I am listening to the Persona 5 soundtrack right now.
No,
I've literally got
all of Persona soundtracks.
You did
all. The new ambush theme is a banger. I love
exactly.
That.
Yeah.
And yeah, like there's like new character themes and stuff too. Obviously, there is a new character in Royal.
Yeah, there's also they made a combat mechanic a little more. But yeah, the best way to describe it is if you guys have never played a Persona remake before, not 3, because 3 has so many remakes I can't even deter which is the best one. But 4,
the answer is all of them.
Nah, Persona 3 is actually. Persona 4. Persona 4 Golden is best to describe it. Golden is such a complete better game than 4. I don't recommend it. Problem is, 4 is Golden's still going to beat it, but that's a whole different argument. It's like that's the same model they've been doing, and it works out well for them. So I think that Persona 5 Royale is a much better game. It's much more complete. But I would, if you didn't have a choice, if you played 5 and you want to play Royale, go do it. If you played Royale and you like to see what the original likes before, when it's cheap, like less than $20, go for it. They're both solid RPGs, and this is what Atlas is good at. This is one thing that they're good at.
I was talking about this with a friend. I felt like a weird irony Just about like the idea of Persona 5 Royale being remade at all, only because it's condensed around these rebels against society and them being turned into a marketable like kind of thing almost felt ironic in a weird way. It's kind of a nothing comment, but I felt, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. I think for me, it's like if you're a Persona fan, you should play Royal. Because, I mean, I'm sure a lot of Persona fans would think that already. But it takes a lot of what was in the base game and streamlines it so the beginning, I don't know, 20, 30 hours is not as much of a slog as it used to. It gives you the baton pass ability early. A lot of the battle abilities and stuff like...
I heard you don't have to go to bed every night.
You also do not have to go to bed every night.
That was the best part of the game.
It's more like a social manager, but the baton pass. Let me give you guys a spec. What you did not get that until you have it confident, I believe, level 2 for some or 3 for some people. So you have to waste time to get the ability to save me.
Yeah, and having it as such like an integral part, because a lot of it is just like, you know, it's like any other Persona game. You find the weakness of this enemy, and then you capitalize on it every time, you know, and it's just like, until you become much stronger than them, obviously. But it's like a lot of the gameplay is like focused on that. And without the baton pass ability, it becomes much harder. And like since you're going to be going through multiple different turn-based battles, like it feels better because not only do you feel more badass, you feel like you can destroy people easier, but at the same time, it's like you're going to have a lot of these battles before you get to the boss. Anything to make them quicker is better for a turn-based RPG, because a lot of the time, like, even though how good the combat can be, however satisfying it may be, any JRPG that has turn-based battles can become kind of a slog when you're grinding sometimes. And going into that later, the Mementos especially I'd like to talk about, because it's much better in Royal compared. But, you know, being able to speed up the combat in some instances makes it so much easier to have much longer playthroughs without feeling that slog feeling. You know, like if you want to get to a specific part of the narrative, or you just want to get to this boss, like it feels better because it doesn't feel like you don't have to run away from a battle and just keep going over and over again. Especially if you're leveled high enough where it doesn't matter if you have to fight them. And so like it's just the way that all of the streamlining that they've done in this game is very good. There's nothing in there that feels like, oh, I'm immediately overpowered at the start of the game. Like, it's still relatively well balanced, but some of the little things that they do put in make the game feel a lot better. Specifically with Mementos, that was a huge addition to the game that they made a lot better, in my opinion, is that they took a lot of the requests and stuff that you would normally do. You would just go into Mementos to grind, and it would just feel like a slog and stuff. And like you just get bored, and you're just doing these side quests just to power you up or get an item or whatever your reasoning is behind it. It's just like now in Royal, there's more purpose to it in a lot of ways.
The thing is, like, there was a purpose in the original because you did it to get certain people's social links up. No spoiler to the characters, blah blah. The problem is though is that in Mementos, in the original, even if you got the van attack, it didn't insta-kill every enemy. There were situations that even if you were like 5 levels above this crappy enemy you killed 1,000 times, you won't get the insta-kill. Now in Royale, you get the guaranteed insta-kill. It's like, bam! Battle done! Battle done!
Yeah, and that's a huge thing too, because like Mementos has so many levels. Like,
it is a labyrinth.
And the fact that you don't have to get stuck at every battle, even if you hit him with the bonus car hit and you do a ton of this damage, like you would still have to sit there. Now it's just like you run them over, you keep going, and that's it. Like, like the hit and run tactic is beautiful, but in a lot of ways, like, you know, they added this additional character who I won't, I guess, spoil, even though he's not really that potent in the narrative, is that there's an additional character that makes Mementos more worthwhile, and that like it's worth actually going through because it's an additional bonus. Not only can you do that, you can upgrade Mementos now so that it gives you better bonuses, better money rewards, better item rewards. You can get more XP when you're grinding through Mementos, which is a huge thing. And there's a specific character who can provide that to you, assuming you pick up the things that he has and all the stuff that he asks you to do. And it just, there's just a lot about Mementos and in the game in general that just makes it better to play, and it should be experienced, especially if you're a fan of the original game and want to play through it again. Or if you're just someone who has never played it yet, like, Royal's the way to do it. And yeah.
So you heard it. Rob says go play the game.
Yeah,
I have not played it. I played the first one. I will play this one after my backlog is completed. And speaking of backlogs, Final Fantasy VII Remake came out.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about the game too much. We're not going to spoil it because Steven is still playing through the game, as am I.
This is the part where some guy says that the game is 23 years old and we should get over it.
But they've changed.
There are a
lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What was the fun thing? The girl Jessie.
Oh my god!
I gotta protect Jessie.
She was not a character, or at least not an important one, in the last game.
She is the internet's favorite waifu right now. Yeah. Oh my!
All I know is that this character, for a non-playable, like a non-party member, has seen more attention than anyone I've ever seen.
I really wish you could use her in your party. Oh my god, I mean,
she doesn't look like she's got any like cool moves up her sleeve. She's just, it's weird to have a character that's so like intertwined with what's going on at the given moment for her to say, all right, I'm gonna go eat chips in the back, you sort this out. Like, it's so it's weird. It's like a disconnect.
The way they wrote her character, it's like, okay, this was unexpected, but this is so good. Thank you very much. All of them. We talked about this before, but Wedge, I like him. He's kind of the guy that wants to hang around everybody, but he's also the really cool kid if you get to know him. Biggs, he's just like, I'm a badass. You just don't know him, but I'm a badass. And then Jesse, who's like, all right, I could be your girl, but I don't want to be your girl. I'm just playing you, but I'm right here. And I'm also pretty badass. It's like, all right, you know what? Between her and Tifa and Aerith is like, Cloud, my man. Oh my god, what
a sexy boy, BOI.
What are you doing?
He's doing it wrong because he has a harem. I mentioned this
lightly, but I've noticed, at least in the little bit I've played, they are like steamrolling through Cloud's like character arc, which is really weird to me. Like, he starts off the story as like, you know, the casual, like, I'm only in this for the money. Don't talk to me. I'm not your friend. Get away from me. And
I'm not your bro. Don't call me bro.
And by like hour 4, everyone's like, was that a smile, Cloud? Oh my god, there is a heart. And he's like, I care about you guys a little bit, and I'm not going to admit that. And it's weird. It kind of felt like, it was like, shouldn't this be in like the last game or something?
No.
And, you know, jumping off that too, there is a lot of fast forwarding in terms of the narrative, and I won't go into specific details, but there's a lot of like flashbacks and stuff that are truly pushing forth a lot of the stuff that you wait until after Midgar to find out about. And like a lot of it now is just popping up and it's right in front of you and it's telling you, okay, you know, here are the details that you wouldn't normally learn here. Like a lot of it has changed, and a lot of it changed in a very jarring but a very good way. And it's just like, you know, it makes you wonder what's going to happen in the next episode, even though if you haven't finished it or not, like, especially if you're somebody who's played the original game, you know, it makes you wonder where a lot of this content that's now in Midgar is going to show up later on. And even if it's just the smallest thing to the biggest thing, like there's a lot of stuff in there that it's just like, okay, now this is here. So how does this affect the payoff of a certain other thing that happens later on? There's a lot of different stuff where it's like, it makes you wonder how much did they truly change in the future stuff as well? Because a lot of this now is just like you're learning about it and you're getting these little hints and stuff that like, if you are a returning player, like you appreciate these details, but at the same time, how is it going to affect what the rest of the stuff is? It really makes you feel like it is a reimagining. It's not just.
It definitely is. It definitely is. I heard some stuff about the ending of the game, but then I moved away from it really quickly because I want to beat it myself and see it. But it does sound like this is more of a reimagining than a remake or a remaster or remake, what do you call it? Because they are trying to change some shit in the game.
Well, the main thing that I noticed, the main reason I felt like bringing up the fact that Cloud is going through his character arc so fast and all these characters are seemingly getting like closure. Writing 101, if your character gets their arc done, you shoot them in the head. And that's like, and part of me is like thinking there is absolutely like probably some like hard right coming up or something. Because I was talking about this also. What on earth is supposed to carry over from this game to like whatever next part of this there is? Like,
yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm like playing this game to like reach like level 50, 60 or like whatever. And I feel like it'd be really weird if like the second part comes out and it's like, all right, Cloud's level 1 again. Here's the lame Buster sword you started off with, and they pat you on the back. So go get him, Tiger. Like, it'd be weird.
Can I also say I love the fact that you're not stuck with the Buster sword. You can use whatever weapon you want. And I love the weapon upgrade system. That is so good.
Yes,
so good.
It's not like you're just taking something like a Buster Sword that is iconic and people want to use. It's not invalidating it with the new weapons either, because the new weapons have their own separate abilities that you can use too. and it changes depending on how you want to play the game, which is the most interesting part to me, is that like regardless of the stat upgrades that you have and stuff, you can choose to play the game differently and get these different abilities that you want, which is really cool to me too. But like going off of some of the gameplay stuff, or going off some of the narrative stuff, a lot of the big things is like the changes that they've made do change some of the implications of stuff, specifically with like the whole purpose of Avalanche, as well as like Sephiroth's presence in general, is very different in this game compared to the original.
It's not very black and white in this game. That was what I noticed. Like there was a lot of people where it was like there was this scene where Barrett gets into an argument with some middle manager, and it's kind of like implying that like maybe what Barrett's doing isn't all that noble, and like chaos happens, and this middle manager that had like no character development all of a sudden says, like, they're like, him and like Tifa come to like an agreement, and he's like, I'll keep everyone safe, and they like humanize this guy that I'm pretty sure they would not have like given a single good trait to in the previous like 1997 installment.
That was because in 1997 we were. I'm gonna even kill a joke, but the original game was essentially like it was very amoral, and you were the terrorist. But now it's like I don't think that was live nowadays. So we got to make you look like the good terrorist. Like you were tricked.
The one of the thing that happens in like the first hour of the game after you do the big explosion at the Mako place, you like have to go through a street as like everyone's like crying as their houses are on fire, and it's like this really surreal kind of thing.
Well, here's my thing on that, in that you had said it makes things less black and white, but in my opinion, I think it kind of does make it more black and white in a weird way, because like in the original game, during the Make a Reactor raid, you go in, you destroy everything. Avalanche sets the bomb, it goes off. Ta-da! You know, spoilers for the first game. I mean, you know, I don't know 20 years too late. That, but spoilers for the first game. You succeed in the first Make a Reactor raid, and you blow up the reactor. And Avalanche does it, and like Avalanche is the one that is the bad guy there. And it's like people had to go and interpret for themselves if they should determine that Avalanche made the right choice in destroying that, fully knowing that it would impact the people who live around the reactor and even kill some people too, because there's still some destruction of the neighborhood surrounding the reactor. And we see that a lot in the remake too. But Remake does a change very specifically immediately in the beginning that says that, okay, well, maybe Avalanche isn't as bad as it seems, but maybe somebody else was at fault for it. And I'm not going to spoil who, but like it turns it into this thing where before, where you used to think that you're not really sure if you should believe Avalanche is being a hero, even though they want to save the planet. Now it's kind of made it more seem like, okay, they are the hero, but they didn't intend to do the thing that happened, and now it's caused more destruction. Isn't necessarily their fault, and then that comes
exactly. Like I said before, like, oh no, you in original you were a terrorist, so you were tricked. You were not really, which wouldn't fly. Like that doesn't make sense. Like, look, if you're gonna go full douchebag, go full douchebag. It's fine. No one's gonna care. You're Cloud.
Yeah, and I don't want to spoil it again, but it makes it feel like a certain entity has become more of a villain immediately, rather than over time you learn that they are a bad or evil entity.
I'm deeply upset by that.
Can I ask you? Do you think they're playing on people who have already played this game in the past, and assuming that you have played this game once upon a time ago?
I doubt that.
I've played it a bunch of times before.
I played a bunch of times. I doubt that, because it's Square. Square always try to rewrite history. I mean, you play the other games.
I actually do wonder what place this, including the Resident Evil 2 remake and the Resident Evil 3 remake, what place in history are we going to like? Is it going to eventually take? Like, are we going to like say, like, which will be remembered more?
Whatever they keep in print. I'm being quite serious, because they own the publisher. So whatever games, if they keep the original Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy R Part 1, 2, and 3 in print, where people can buy and play it, then people will probably, and this is my opinion, not to be a jerk, people will remember fondly of the original Final Fantasy VII because it was the original experience. The same way people still remember Chrono Trigger to the day I die. I think Chrono Trigger is the greatest RPG ever created.
Well, see, that's a different story, because we never got a remake of Chrono Trigger.
Well, until recently, we're probably gonna get one during Square.
It brings into the question of
also like the Chrono Trigger remake was pretty bad, from what I understand.
No, it wasn't. it wasn't. It was all that was the mobile version brought over. That's all it was.
Yeah. But I mean, to that point, it makes me wonder, because a lot of the conversation that's going to come up because of this question is, what's the definitive edition? You know, what is the one that you should play? If you want the most pure experience, you want to be the most, you know, like you're a fan, you want the experience of Final Fantasy VII. Which one is that going to be? And obviously we can't determine that now because the rest of the remake episodes aren't even out yet. And sure, you can immediately come out and say the original is the definitive experience. But what if there are certain stuff in the remake that expands on a character or whatever, and some people think that that's more important to them compared to what the original game did to them? You know,
I have two answers for that one. I have two answers. One, it's going to depend on your generation and if you've ever played the original. Yeah. The second answer is going to be, we don't know where they're taking this game. This game could go in a completely different direction.
Right. And like I said, it also depends if they keep it in print. Like, for example, if Square says, you know what, there's only Final Fantasy VII R till the day we die, we never print the original, then people will grow up with it. There'll be less and less people aware of it, unless, you know, the retro kids and the ROM hackers will know about it. It's the same way, like, certain games are getting popular. Like, you know, there's still people who enjoy Streets of Rage 3 compared to other Streets of Rage. I don't know why, but they enjoy it. Well, so it's like... So it's like it depends what the company decides to make as their flagship. Like, for example, Atlas is still printing all versions of Persona. You can still get Persona 3 and all its reprints, 4 and Golden if you want, limitations, and 5 and 5R. So they want you to experience all of it. The problem is that, again, if Square decides to tell everybody we're only printing 7R till the day we die, 7 original doesn't count anymore, then you have to hold that. Then 7R is going to be experienced remembered because they stopped printing the original.
I don't think they'll ever do that. I mean, they've already stopped printing the original.
Some game companies have done that before with the HD remakes and blah, blah, blah.
But I mean, the original is already out of print, and you can only get it online anymore.
Exactly. I'm talking about they stopped printing that. They stopped selling it. Like, it's impossible. Let's just say, like, 10 generations of gaming. They stop. I'm not saying they're going to do it, but like, there'll be no more original Final Fantasy VII. We're only giving you, you know, 7R. The 7R will be the definitive edition.
Like Rob said, we're too far out to really answer that question.
It really depends what the publisher does. It's not up to us because
But it is up to us also. You think about it. Because we played the original.
Keith was saying earlier that Persona 5 or Final Fantasy VII isn't finished, so we can't really judge it from the quality of a remake. But I think maybe we could tackle it from the Resident Evil standpoint because those are finished games. I mean, well, Resident Evil 3 is DLC, but that's just me being smug. I think
it is. No, it totally is.
But what would happen? What would happen? Like, this is a true story. Capcom can do this because Capcom's the master of the HD remake. Like, they remake Final Fight how many times, but it's like, let's just say they stop giving people the classic, or at least the renditions of Resident Evil games, and you have to play the remakes, and to many people come normal, and then you play it. It's one of the reasons why.
The fact that the game is called Remake, obviously it says, hey, this is not the original game. This is a different take on the game.
Oh yeah.
I can see if they're calling it, if they're saying, no, this is now Resident Evil 3. This is now Final Fantasy VII. The old one doesn't exist anymore. It's this one. Then I could see that argument, but it's definitely called a remake for a reason. Guys, this is not the original game. This is a remake, a different re-imaging of the game. It's not exactly what it was, so take it for what it is. If they decided to change the name and say, no, this is now Final Fantasy VII Definitive Edition, then we can raise all hell. But they're not. They're still calling it a remake at the end of the day.
Well, here's the thing, right? If you recommend somebody like the any of like Resident Evil, Final Fantasy VII, they will say at least a good amount of people will say they don't hold up, or at least more so to the Resident Evil because of the tank controls.
The Resident Evil does not hold up.
No, tank controls are the worst thing ever happened.
Yeah, like people will say those kind of things, and from a Capcom's perspective of I want to get as many fans or as many people invested in the series, it would make more sense to push these remakes because like the remakes, they feel good to control, even if like maybe they aren't like a more definitive or they aren't the same thing that people had in 1990, whatever. It's more appealing to say, hey, do you want to play? People say Resident Evil 2 is one of the scariest games ever made. We've made it more appealing to you specifically.
And I'm glad to bring that up too, because there is another fundamental thing about the remake that's very different from it, is that it's not a turn-based combat game anymore. It's all about action. And yes, there's strategic elements to it, so I'm not being reductive when I say that.
Oh boy.
Like I discussed with what we discussed when we played the demo, it reminded me of Final Fantasy 13, but faster. I mean, not 13, 12, but faster. Wait. 12 was
15.
11's the one. Yeah, 11's the one that went online. 13 had three bad games. So yeah, it was 12. It reminds me of 12, but faster. A lot of it, the mechanics, the ATB system, it's very straightforward.
I will say this: I love the updated system, and every Final Fantasy needs to have that option going forth.
It's very cool because I like how every character has their own unique abilities, but not only because they can just pick it from the menu. Like there are unique characteristics of how they play that change the way you fight something. Because obviously there's the most obvious one, which is Barrett can hit ranged enemies because he's the one with the projectile. He can hit somebody from far away where Cloud probably wouldn't be able to jump to and get him. And then it gets even more complex with like the difference between Operator and Punisher mode for Cloud, where he gets to choose how he wants to attack something specifically. He can come in with a more conservative approach with the Operator mode, which is like the standard fight ability that you have, which does the standard amount of damage. You have the standard amount of movement. You can defend yourself perfectly like that. Or you can do the Punisher mode, which is more attack oriented. You're much stronger, but you're much slower. You can't defend, and you can only parry. And that changes things in like if you wanted to play aggressively and you know you can capitalize on this moment, it changes the way you play in a way that like, okay, well, if somebody's going to hit me, I need to parry this. And I can't just defend. I'm going to lose too much health. And then it's like a risk reward thing that's like completely different from how, like if you were in the turn-based system, like it's like you either understand the weakness or you're punished for it. Now it feels like there are certain circumstances, regardless of whether you know a weakness or not, like the way you play influences how it's going to play out. It's very action gamey in that sense, but it's just very cool compared to like, if they had just turned it into a straight up action game where you just mash button like Kingdom Hearts and you kill a thing, and it's like
Final Fantasy 15 game that everyone really enjoyed.
That was my fit. Wait, no, that game sucked. Sorry.
But yeah, that's another big thing too, is that like if we're comparing the two together, and if it is this what's definitive or not argument, like they play fundamentally different too. And that's a big thing about it as well, is like who's going to be willing to jump into something that's a completely different combat system that they might see as slower or less enjoyable to the most extreme extent.
True. And like as we point out with Persona has made battle changes where it's more definitive, where the combat feels much more fluid. That's also number two. But the thing to me though is that like the reason why Final Fantasy VII versus the Final Fantasy VII-R is Final Fantasy VII still plays like a combination of Chrono Trigger, a little bit the ATB system, and a traditional RPG. And that to me, and then you turn into a more action-based game. It's, as you point out, two completely different game styles of playing it, but you give you two different ways of actually understanding what the game mechanics want you to do. Like in Final Fantasy VII, you are really trying to mimic, like you're predetermining the turns in your head. Like, do I make Cloud attack? Do I make, Barrett heal? Do I do XX with this character? Do I use an item? While in 7, you're like, just you're constantly just doing something to give you more enjoyment rather than calculating. I prefer turn-based RPGs in some aspect, or some of them, because you have a calculated risk for doing. In action games, there's always kind of a way you can just like jet out the system, and we talk more about bad habits in games later. But it's two different ways, I would say, of tackling how to make your game enjoyable. Do you think it's a good, like you pointed out, if it wasn't for the insta-kill system in R, that's better than original, people would hate R because the only mindless battles you have to do. Mindless. It's like, I can't be killing the same, the Nightshade again and again and again and again in the same dungeon. That'd be pointless if it wasn't for the insta-kill. While in an action game, you don't feel bad doing it because you just experiment what works and doesn't work. You can always like, okay, I never tried to spell out before. Let me try this guy's weak. Let me just see if I bust him up.
Okay.
All right. So we all had different opinions about the remakes, but I think overly we've all enjoyed the remake so far. Some more so than the other ones. So it's a great time for gamers. We'll leave it at that. It is a really good time for gamers, especially since we're stuck inside the house. We're stuck inside of the damn house.
There's
we can't go anywhere.
RPGs to play in social distancing.
And if you, look at this. That's not the only RPG coming out this month. There's also Trials of Mana from Square Enix coming out in another.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
which I have to play as well because I enjoyed the demo.
I know that this is not an anime podcast, but I felt like YouTube was messing with me specifically. It recommended me that Shelter music video. I don't know if any of you guys have recognized that. It's like a little 6-minute animated short about this girl who is absolutely quarantined for the rest of eternity, basically. You might have seen it before. I feel like I might be the only one who knows what I'm talking about.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry.
You're on your own, buddy.
I'll
But it's
ask
okay.
JJ about it.
We're all on our own. This next topic, I don't want to spend too much time on it because there's not really much to really talk about, and that is The Last of Us Part 2 being delayed for the foreseeable future. As you guys know, this game has been hit with delay after delay after delay. It was supposed to be at PAX East, people to play, but then the whole Sony pulling out of, or PlayStation pulling out of PAX East, so it was playable there. And then this whole COVID-19 coronavirus nonsense came out and put the smackdown on that game pretty hard, which is pretty meta because it's a game about a pandemic that's being delayed because of a pandemic. Yeah. So this game is not coming out anytime soon. And the question that I have is, do you think this game will be delayed until the launch of the PlayStation 5?
No, I don't know. Well,
I think if it gets too close, yes.
I listened to a little interview with Neil Druckmann, so I got a bit of context about like kind of where they're at. From what I understand, the game is basically finished, and what they're more so doing is they're arguing with marketing people over distribution rather than. And I feel like if the issue is marketing or distribution, it would be almost just as bad if they waited for the release of the PlayStation 5.
If they released it for just PS4, yeah, I agree. And to going off of that, like, it makes sense because like marketing people are obsessed about optics, which is exactly what this game would probably run into. Is that if they had released it now, like, think about like any kind of, regardless if it's bogus or not, there'd be plenty of media coming out and saying like this is either very what's the word for it? Like relevant to our times right now, what's happening to us all around the world, you know, like, and to whether people would think that's a good or bad thing. And like, I get that marketing might see that and say, okay, this could affect the sales of our game if somebody is so has had their life ruined by COVID-19, you know, something like that. Like, they're not going to be willing to go out and pay this game, regardless if they can afford it or not. Like, if it's something that has destroyed their life, or, you know, who's going to want to go into something that basically resembles a more extreme version of what we're dealing with now? Like, it could affect them emotionally in ways that they can't, you know, anticipate. So to some extent, it makes sense for them delaying it in a lot of ways, even regardless of any of the bureaucratic or business nonsense. Like, there's a lot of emotional impacts that this game could have, especially during a time right now that would cause irreparable damage in a lot of ways.
If you listen to like Troy Baker, the voice actor for Joel, he's been saying some like fishy stuff on Twitter. If any of you guys have been keeping an ear out, he's like saying that people are going to be very divisive over this game. He's saying that people are going to maybe hate the story, or like, and I think he's more so talking from like that there are ideas that might offend certain people kind of sprinkled throughout the game, that kind of thing. But he's been like talking in this very suspect way for a while.
He's just trying to hype the game up. That's what he does. He always does that. He always does that.
But I feel like it's also part of something that we've already expected from this game. I mean, I think it was like the second trailer that came out for this game. There was the torture scene that a bunch of people covered and said like, oh, this is gross. This is disgusting. Why are games doing this now? You know, why are we getting this absurd amount of gore or you know, just like physical harm inflicted on people? You know, why do we need to see this? Like, I imagine if he is talking truthfully about the game and rather than just saying like, oh, here's the game, you know, we should play it, I'm going to get people excited about it. Like, you know, this is something that people should already expect from something like this that is a gritty survival apocalyptic game.
It's like, if you've never played the first one, what are you doing? Why would you?
That too.
That I mean, there's been so many games that have been it's just as gory. Good example. I just walked, not recently. My wife and my daughter in the front room playing The Walking Dead on Xbox. You want to talk about a gory game?
The Telltale's game, or the
yeah. You want to talk about a gory game? Okay, people. I don't want to say we're desensitized to this stuff, but most gamers, even casuals, are used to this. We play games like this to take our mind off the real life of things that are happening. And I understand that there are people that can't disconnect the two from real life from a game. We've seen this time and time again, but there are forms of entertainment. It's no different than watching a movie about the end of the world, that it's something that's totally possible every day.
That's true.
I'm thinking of it from a different point of view. Like The Last of Us, the original, I don't consider that horror. It was the thematics of it and the storytelling of it. That's what he probably means of offensive of some nature. Like, for example, I don't know if he hinted towards the internet or the fan base believed that what's his face? I forgot her name. Ellie? Mm-hmm. The female lead. I forgot her name.
Ellie.
Ellie. Yeah. She allegedly is like gay or whatever. Or some crap. People can't deal with that. Or they talk about, allegedly, I don't really care. Or they talk about themes that are very personal for women or growing up, and they could be jarring for some people because some people are complete cowards or snowflakes. What a term you want to use? Just losers, I call them, because it's like,
we'll call them
my god. Yeah, loser. Oh my god, it's talking about things I don't want to hear about.
If you have a problem with two females or two guys kissing in this day and age, welcome to this year. Welcome to this year.
No, it's not that. It's like they talk about about things that they don't feel comfortable talking about outside of the homosexuality aspect or certain thematics and themes.
Then don't play the game.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree that don't play the game, but it's like again, they are the snowflakes and aspects. It's like because The Last of Us, remember the first one had rape in it. She almost got raped. For real, by a psycho cult leader.
Choke her to death.
And in the end, you kill Nolan North because everyone wants to kill Nolan North in real life. I mean, he's Nolan North.
I was actually really disappointed with how that arc went. I'm going to be honest. I feel like they had like this really cool thing going on where he was this guy who maybe wanted to do the right thing for the people under his lead. And he was. And then they just throw it all out and said, no, he's a child molester rapist. It's all right. Beat him to death with a machete. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
To be fair, it's Nolan North. He had it coming. He was Nathan Drake. He had a good look. He had it for too good for too long. Someone's got to take it down a peg, and you're very lucky. From? This is coming from
deep,
and it's
a lot of frustration, some anger, some.
No. It's a running joke I have because whatchamacallit? I forgot the guy who voices the main character of BioShock Infinite.
That's also Troy Baker.
Booker DeWitt. That's Troy
Baker. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Troy Baker. Troy Baker doesn't like Nolan North in real life. It's a running joke. They joke about each other. So it's like, I get to kill you in real life. I hated you since birth. You took Nathan Drake from me. It was true. Troy Baker wanted to be.
I want to get to a point where we're going to have games, at least 10 games, 10 big games that does not feature Troy Baker in it.
Yes, but he's got good of a voice actor.
God, give somebody else a chance.
I think he's good, though. But he's good. He's a bad actor.
I think
he's great.
I think the problem is as a point is not to joke, but it's like a lot of good games actually make you think about some other aspects. Like, for example, we were discussing Final Fantasy VII Remake and how it's different from the original, where you were a terrorist who did good versus you were tricked into being terrorists. Is that justifiably a better story? Who knows? You gotta wait till the episode.
Terrorist is a terrorist. You're still blowing shit up. You're still a bad
guy. Exactly. But it's like, every good game makes you think about the consequences and actions, how deep it is. Like, for example,
what's that word looking for? Morally gray. That's what it
morally
is.
Gray. Yeah.
There you go.
Some games are that way, some aren't. But like, to me, Devil May Cry, it had actually a deep storyline on 1, 3, and 5. 2 is crap. Even consider it 4. But they teach you like aspects of like, there's actually a good thesis out there about the difference between Nero's quest for power versus Virgil's quest for power. And it's a good game makes you think about that. Like, good games make you think about yourself and the game and what it means in thematics. If you're going to avoid that because it hurts your feelings you'll talk about, then don't play the game. As you pointed out, Keith, you're a goddamn coward. Like, that's the whole point. You enjoy it. It's an art. You enjoy art.
Yes.
I don't know how we got on the topic. I don't know how we got here.
I want to bring it back to one thing. A lot of people seem to believe that, even unconsciously, that Naughty Dog kind of owes them something for delaying the game. Like, they want a new trailer.
If that's the case, here we go, guys. This is business 101. Companies don't owe you anything. They are not your friends. They don't care about you. They won't shake your hand. They will take your money and peddle you their stuff and be happy that you spent your money on their stuff. And then they'll stab you in the back.
That's fair enough.
They're not your friends.
Well, they
don't owe you shit.
There was like a leak going around. I forget what it was. Like, some ex-Naughty Dog employee says that that people should expect The Last of Us Part 2 to be the last great Naughty Dog game or something like that because a
Oh,
lot
I
of
hate it.
Oh,
Yeah,
he
I was
just
talking
mad.
about. I
That
hate
guy
when people
just
said that.
That's conjecture. Don't worry. That's somebody's opinion.
That
All I
guy
want
is
to
basically,
say,
I don't work there anymore, and I'm pissed.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah, I hate it when I came out because it made me upset. Because it's like, oh, it's the last great one. People said that about when Santa Monica came out with Dave Jaffe made the last God of War game. It's the last God of War is gonna make. It's all downhill after 3. And we got God of War for PS4. So
everybody loved it,
SCFU.
yeah. All I want to say is that I think because you brought up the issue of losers and stuff, people who have their political differences and why they don't like a game. I get that to some extent, but stuff with gore and things like that is not affected by somebody's hate speech or anything like that.
Oh, no.
That's something that's very clearly regardless of whether it's in the game or not, it's something that you can't argue against. It's something that can realistically happen to somebody regardless of their background, and it's just people saying oh, this is going to be a game that's divisive or things like that. And I get it. That's talking about the strictly political stuff and games like this are going to have those inspirations, and anybody who's freaking out about that or are worried about that, it goes back to the whole thing that we started with this whole tangent was that whether or not it coming out at the right time it should be now or should wait. And I guess what I'm trying to kind of get at is, now that I'm losing my train of thought, is that when this game comes out is I had a good point. It was there, and I literally went away. And it sucked.
Is that it doesn't? I know what you're getting. You're getting at this is I'm not some of my rant. Is that regardless if the game has dark thematic themes or physical aberrations of violence and blah blah blah, it doesn't take away that the game of art is something to appreciate, and you should not devalue a game because of it.
Yeah. Oh, and I remember exactly what I was trying to say. Is that when you get to these points where these very traumatic things occur, it's not up to your control how you react to that kind of thing, especially if something like that has happened to you, because it will determine to you how you're going to react to it in the game. So if you see something that has happened to you in the past and it's a trigger, it's something causes you to have this emotional reaction that you were not prepared for, then it makes sense that they might want to delay this game because they are not sure how that can affect people. The consumers themselves will not be sure how that will affect them. Even if they know that they have a certain emotion about something, that they know they feel about this particular trigger warning or this particular aspect of something that they don't agree with or they have experienced and is traumatic for them, you can't anticipate that kind of thing. And so if they go ahead and delay the game because of that reason, it's understandable, because it's this could cause something for a lot of people, especially nowadays, that will throw them into a bent of depression, or they just something worse could happen. And you don't want to have that stem from something that was triggered from a video game. Video games are supposed to be an escape for a lot of people.
You should not be triggered by a video game and a movie. Again, you have to be able to separate real life from fiction. You have to. Because if you can't do that, there's something wrong with you, in a sense that anything could trigger you the wrong way.
Yeah, and it shows up.
If the company realizes that, and it's there is some evidence where that could happen to a larger amount of people, especially with the things that are going on, they have to realize that they're okay, we should probably step back because this could cause irreparable damage to the sales of our game and to the image of our game, and that's very important.
I understand where you're coming from, but I lean towards Keith of and I call it self-control. It's come on, man. It's the same thing. I think we talked about maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago about Ninja screaming when he loses a game that is not good. But it's dude, you're playing a random battle royale where everything is randomized. There is no way 100% of the time the luck is going to be in your favor. You lost. You got to separate from that.
Yeah, and his argument was strictly just okay, people use this one aspect of the game that is competitively better than anything else you can pick up on the field. And he's complaining about it because he believes that it takes away variety. And I mean, I'm not going to say I agree with Ninja.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But that's something different. It's the difference between a competitive edge and an emotional reaction is that the competitive edge is whether he wins or not. And at the end of the day, he's streaming for entertainment. It's not about whether he wins or not. The money is not on the line. and it's just like, whereas like with this kind of game, like if say a really bad story comes out about this game, somebody who is affected by COVID to the point where it's traumatizing to them, and they go in to play this game, something happens to them, and something tragic happens to them, and they react to it because of this game, they want to try to avoid that at all costs, and it's not something that they can necessarily anticipate or whatever for whatever reason. And it's just like, this is the perfect opportunity for them to save themselves from something like that. Whereas like if they wait a little bit amount of time, all this COVID stuff goes away, then people will be more accepting of that, and the media and stuff like that will not sensationalize anything about that either, because like that happens a lot too.
It depends, because remember I forgot which Call of Duty game, on Warfare, where he shot a bunch of people in the airport. People still like, my god, it's so violent. I'm like, I don't even care. This looks stupid. When I was playing, it was like my younger time.
Let's reel it back in.
Oh, I did just wanted to share a fun fact. During this interview with Neil Druckmann, the game director, I was hoping someone would say, "Oh, we should have a demo."
Should have a demo.
Because I had this trap card laying in wait, but apparently all of the press demos that have been given out are actually the full game with like 5 lines of code that say "stop here," and so people are like, just put that demo out to like regular PlayStations. And Druckmann's like, if you did that, you would have the full game in like a heartbeat, because people would crack it and they'd pop it open and say, "I've got The Last of Us Part 2, guys. Welcome to my live stream."
I find that surprising.
That reminds me of back in the day when id Software put out Quake, the shareware version of Quake, and all you needed was a key to unlock the full game. It was the full game. Just you needed to lock a couple pieces of code. People figured it out. And I was like, "Oh, hey, look, I got Quake for free." That's what that reminds me of. I know a lot of people are too young to remember this, but yeah.
But provided that what he's saying is true, we are probably not seeing a demo period for like some time. Unless he says that, like, according to him, like I said, he's during an interview, whatever, but he says
it makes sense, because
it would take a lot of effort to make like an actual demo on his part. Yeah. That's what he says. Like,
yeah, it's a condensed version about a part of a game that it's like, you have to change a lot of things, and you have to take a lot of stuff out that might be integral to the next part of the game and stuff. And like, yeah, it can be a technical undertaking just to make a demo for something that you're trying to finish the full game on. You know what I mean? So it's like, it makes sense.
All right. So to wrap this up, let's go around. Do you think the delay is going to affect overall sales of the game? Is yes or no? Yes or no?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
It's
no. It's Last of Us. You are going to get it. And they could delay the game to like 2040. People in their wheelchairs will get it. I mean, look at Kingdom Hearts. 20 years and people still bought it.
Since you bring it down to just a simple yes or no, but it more so depends on like if we're talking like week 1 sales. Because I definitely think those will be affected, because some people not in the know just probably won't. I really wonder how much of like a time frame they're going to give us. If they're going to say the game's going to come out in 2 months, they say it's going to come out in 4 months. It would have been nice to know at the very least if they had like, if this was even going to be in this year.
I think if we get to like September, October, and then it would make no sense to put it on the PlayStation 4. Because it's like, you get into this area where it's like, there's a couple months left for I, theoretically stuff this console away in my garage or whatever, and I never go back to it for whatever reason, then it's just like, all right, well, is it worth it to put it out on the PS4 if people are preparing to buy the new console? Recession or not, like even then, like even if we're in an economic boom and everybody has plenty of money to spend, like people are just going to put away that old console after a few months if all of these new games that they want to go theoretically play are going to be ready for them on release. It's just like, okay, well, then they might consider porting it over to the PS5 or adapting it for the PS5,
or just give it backwards compatibility.
So much work to just
there's that too. Yeah.
All right, well, we're moving on. We spent way too much time on this, and we're not. So that's going to take away from this topic. So I was playing a game. I won't say which game it was, and I was thinking, I do this shit an awful lot when I really don't need to do this. So I figured, why not have a segment where we talk about some of the gaming habits we picked up that aren't really good. I'm going to go first. Reloading when I don't need to reload.
That's actually a good habit to have, actually.
No.
Depending on the shooter. Depending on the shooter.
Depending on the shooter, if your gun is slow and it takes forever to reload, and you're in the middle of nowhere, and you're like, well, I'm just gonna reload, and you can't fire a shot, and you get shot because, well, I had 15 clips left in my round or my magazine, and I reloaded for no reason. Yeah, that's happened to many times.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
I learned from video games that drinking in real life does not actually restore your health or make you more immune to pain.
That sounds like an interesting story.
That sounds like you didn't learn enough. You didn't drink enough.
Where did that come from?
Saving 3 times because I have short-term memory loss, and I'm like, oh, I'm saved. And then I get up, I turn the chair around, I change my position. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to save and forget to save. Yeah, that was pretty mundane. I should have stuck with the drinking one.
No, that's a good point though, because a lot of the times you might want to second guess your stuff as well. I didn't really have a core example for this, but I guess saving is actually a pretty good point because if I'm playing any kind of random amount of RPG or whatever, I save a lot. I'm totally guilty of saving way more often than I probably need to, and so I guess it could apply to real life in the sense that if you're second guessing things, or say you put something somewhere, you forget about it, you don't want to forget about it, you go back and grab it. Yeah, yeah, where you're I don't know, you start moving stuff around. You're more careful about things. You try to consider things for longer than maybe you have to. I guess that would probably be mine. Just because now that you bring it up, I think about a lot of stuff for a lot longer than I probably have to sometimes. So it's just I guess that's probably stems from me saving all the time because I make one decision that I might need to prepare for this next boss room for, and I would have to load back in for whatever reason. Then I have to move that over again. Oh, that's going to get so annoying. I might as well save now that I've made this one incremental change that's going to get annoying if I keep losing to this boss. I guess that would be mine.
What about you, Matt?
I have a lot of them. I'm going with the basic. When any game I play, I look for the most abusable mechanic, I think it is, and I spend a lot of time tutorial mode that I destroyed the fun of the game. I killed the fun myself. For example, in Niho, when I found out how dash cancel works, and I realized the game isn't good because of how dumb this is, crushed the game less than 2 hours speedrun level. I do that a lot, because I'm very. You hear me talk. I'm very analytical about games. I think about it in a very big brain level. So it's if I would sit there and let's say the tutorial says jump, slide, punch. All right, let me see what all these does. Oh wow, this is how everything works. So let me mess around with it more and more and more. Okay, I know this works. And then stomp the game. It's what, dude, you're mad on fun. I'm sorry. It's too try hard in games. I should not be try hard. I should enjoy it more, but it's who I am.
You try hard. You try hard.
It's not. Look, I can give you guys. I think I showed you Discord. I almost got the world record in Hades beating under 25 minutes. That's how pretty much how much I played that game. And I have 50 hours recording that game. So I'm I can speed run that game.
Anything else?
There's a whole list. In fighting game mechanics, I always try to look for a character that has what is their best neutral button versus everybody else, which is a hard. I would sit in training mode and go 5A, 5A, 5A. What's the better version? Is 5A. Then go down list. I have habits where I just try to dissect the game.
Hey, look, I'm
so hard. Upside down, Keith. Changing the world.
My mic is so my webcam is so jacked up right now.
I'm
trying to fix it, but nope. It's nope. Screw you, Keith.
Yeah. Another thing I do in games, particularly RPGs, as you see me, I compare it. Since I play a lot of games RPGs, I try to compare a lot of mechanics together.
Well, that's not a bad habit. I'm talking about things that you should not be doing.
That's a bad habit. I should stop doing because I just do it. Yeah. Breaking games down in tutorial, things like that. I have an intense urge, anytime I would, particularly a shooting game, bleeding, any game. I grind games too hard for no reason. That's the hard habit to have.
That just tells us you're an RPG player.
In general, yeah. In any game, I could do that in. But I guess it's mostly, it's I'll find a mechanic in the game and then break it down and then defeat the game with that broken mechanic and then make the game fun. Both will watch me play, whatever.
So you're just bragging that you're a hardcore gamer. It's basically what you're doing.
No, I'm not hardcore. If I was hardcore, I would really the roguelikes people like. I don't like games like that. I guess another bad habit I have is I'm not salty up with Rage Quit, but I still think Destiny is good. Part of me still thinks Destiny is a good game, but I can't say that out loud. Oh, I just did.
It's a good game. It's just they're ruining it. They're doing things that They're doing what Blizzard did to World of Warcraft. That's exactly what they're doing.
That's best to describe it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's
But
exactly
no, I think
what they're doing.
Yeah, I think the thing, my major weakness in bad habits of games, the triple saving mechanic, or sometimes like in certain games, like I looked like even though I haven't beaten the game, most games do Game Plus, I'll try to 100% it in the first try. Like, why am I trying to do 100% a game that I know nothing about? That's a terrible habit to have because I'm not playing the game, just sitting there like doing nothing.
Holy crap! I just look at the time. We've got it's 10:11. We started at 8:30.
Yeah, this is a long podcast.
We're gonna we have to make up.
We're jamming.
Yeah, but
you gotta make it up. Let's crank down another 20 minutes.
Though.
But yeah, my thing is, I guess my major weakness is that I'm way too intense about games that I should not be about, and I come off, and I'm very analytical about my games. Like I'm very big brain for no reason. Like I can go into an essay about what's the difference between a good jumping mechanic and a bad jumping mechanic.
No, we don't need
exactly. You don't want that. That's
No, we don't need that.
Yeah.
All right. Matt, I'm only leaving you 5 minutes to bitch today because
I'm not really gonna bitch about it, but Tekken had a patch note that came out. All the Mishima characters got buffed up, where their tracking moves are better, particularly Hell Sweep and Electric Godwood Fist, which makes the game much more two-dimensional. Because if you try to dodge it by sidestepping up or down, you still can get tracked and hit, which is very upsetting for a lot of people. People don't like that, and people are mad about the Tekken community director. They took it out on him and mad at Harada. And I think that Harada doesn't want his game to be hardcore, but the more and more people play this game, the more hardcore people play Tekken are, which is a very hard balance to find. So I feel bad for the Tekken team working on it.
How is he not going to say he doesn't want his game to be hardcore?
Because he does, believe it or not, when he makes Tekken, he doesn't give people the frame data. People have to do the frame data on their own. Now you can buy the frame data like $5. So people, it is what it is. That's. I think that Harada still thinks this game as a casual fighter or something you just pick up and go.
That really shows that he has a disconnect from the fighting game community. The fact that people sit there and analyze every little bit of a fighting game since a fighting game has become popular. I think crappy fighting games.
Yes, even crappy. And I think it's because, to end this conversation quick, is that he knows who he's selling to, but he's still trying to expand his market by, like, Tekken 7 has rage arts and, pin and super death moves, which is supers, and has, K-Rang will zoom in for the final shot, the insta kill, the finish combo. They make combos much easier. They have so many characters. He's still thinking of it as a game. He understands there's a base of it, but he's trying to always expand it. And because he doesn't think of the hardcore as his first priority, that's been a success and sometimes it's criticism of his games. And that's the problem itself. It's the difference between like his games and Arc Systems. Arc Systems most of them appeal to the hardcore, like Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear is a hardcore game compared to Tekken, even though Tekken is now hardcore. So that's happening. I guess people. Oh yeah. Another thing to talk about is my upset. I mean, you could be upset too. Phantasy Star Online 2. I have to wait longer till it comes to Windows, but it's on Xbox, and I'm upset about that deeply because I want to play it on my computer, not Xbox. So, yeah, beta boys.
It's coming eventually.
Eventually, yeah. And that's what my ranting's at. Unless you guys want to hear me talk about how how I really think Hades' fist weapon is super broken, and I can go for a 5-hour essay about that. Exactly.
No, you can write an essay. We can do that next week. We're not right now. We're 2 hours deep in. Yeah. There's this little statistic of people that podcast over 2 hours don't like to listen to them. So let's not do that.
No, but honestly, that's just my rants of the week. And the one thing I do encourage people to do is please support your gaming publisher and buy your games, blah blah blah. And everyone, please play Rogue Legacy 1 because Rogue Legacy 2 is coming out soon. The dream.
All right, folks. So we have reached the end of a lengthy but enjoyable podcast. And as always, you can check us out on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes Podcasts, audioboom.com, and wherever else podcasts are. So I'm pretty sure we're everywhere. Also here on YouTube. I know we don't have a lot of people watching on YouTube right now, but you should watch us more. You totally should. You might like us. That said, we're still in the middle of a pandemic, so please be safe. Don't be one of those idiots going to the beach or doing things they're not supposed to be doing. No mass gatherings. Come on, we want to get through this in a reasonable time frame without more people getting sick and possibly dying. You guys need to start listening. Sit your asses in the house. I know it sucks, but do it. That's it. So
Yeah.
we'll see you next weekend. Hopefully.
All right.
Hopefully. Any encouraging words before we leave?
Encouraging
Play Resident Evil
words.
Resistance, and then tell Keith all about it.
Yeah.
He's good to me. He's totally good to me.
Bungie, please make your game have diverse content because people are leaving and it's not fun anymore. It's just repetitive.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking for.
I think I need to go back to Division now and see what happens.
Oh, joy.
God. All right,
you owe me
folks.
some Bleeding Edge games, so
Play video games are great.
I don't know if we're
Video
going to
games
play
are
it tonight. It's
That's all I want.
10:30. Will be. I've been up since 6. God damn it.
I'm so hungry.
Woo! You're living my life now. You're living me.